What's up guys, it's Eric from Rare Candy and welcome back for the top 4 match of the recent League Cup I got to go attend in Wilmington, North Carolina at Cape Fear Games. So like I said, this is going to be the top 4 match that I was able to record, but we also did upload a top 8 match as well. So if you guys want to see that, I will have a link below in the description for you guys to go watch that one as well. But so here on the left we have Christopher Watkins, and he's going to be playing Zoroark GX Golisopod GX. And then over on the right we have Shaun Stover playing Zoroark GX Counterbox or Counter Energy, whatever you want to call this deck. Basically, he's playing Zoroark GX with a bunch of different attackers that can use Counter Energy to help deal with certain matchups. So we'll have to see how this matchup is going to go. You know, Golisopod is actually a pretty good support Pokemon for Zoroark GX and Christopher Watkins' deck over there. Unfortunately, I don't think Shaun has a great answer for Golisopod. I know he does run a Reshiram, but unfortunately it can't be powered up one turn to take like a big unexpected knockout, unlike the rest of his attackers. So I could see Golisopod potentially being a difficult card for Shaun to deal with in this matchup. But other than that, he has plenty of ways of dealing with other sorts of attackers, even opposing Zoroark GXs. He has, for example, the Sudowoodo with that Watch and Learn attack that can pretty easily knock out Zoroark GXs as well. So we'll have to see how this match is going to play out. But I can imagine, like I said, Shaun can pretty easily deal with the Zoroarks, but Golisopod might be a little bit more challenging. So we'll have to see, how he can, deal with that. And then over on Chris's side too, if Shaun is not able to take one-hit knockouts, Chris runs things like Acerola and ways to deny knockouts, since he runs Golisopod. So we'll have to see, if Shaun isn't able to take a one-hit knockout with maybe these counter energy-based attackers, Chris, I think, should be able to trade maybe a little bit more effectively with his deck, since it's kind of built more so to deny knockouts than Shaun's deck is. So that's kind of how I think this matchup is going to play out. If Shaun's able to effectively take one-hit knockouts, I think he's going to be in a good position to win, but I think other than that, Chris will probably win the two-shot war in this matchup. So here it looks like we're just waiting for the round to start here. I guess we're probably just waiting on the other top 4 match that was going on at the same time to finish getting set up. But, we're pretty much all ready to go here. So I imagine, okay, so we're finally going to get underway. And looks like Shaun is starting with a Mimikyu, but Chris is going to get to go first, and he has that bridge just right away in his hand. That I'm sure that's what he wants to see. That way he doesn't have to, play down a Tapu Lele or anything like that. So it looks like he's opting to go for 2 Zorua and a Wimpod, and he opens with the Tapu Koko promo. So this is actually a really, really solid start from Chris. The Tapu Koko promo has a free retreat, which is really nice. Also has that attack Flying Flip just for a DCE, spreads 20 to everything. And here he also has the first turn Parallel Saves. This is actually, I would say, maybe even the perfect start for Chris. And it looks like Shaun's going to go for an Ultra Ball here. Normally he would probably go for a Lele to grab Bridget. Okay, but here he's still going to opt to do it. He's saying, you know what, I only need the 2 bench spots to really get going. I'm not really worried about that Parallel City right now, so let's see what he's going to grab. I would imagine we'll probably just see 2 Zoruas. He wants to get Zoroark GX up and running as quick as possible. That way he can start, digging through his deck a little bit better. So probably while he's in there, he's just taking a peek, seeing, what all is in his deck, what's in his prizes, especially in this matchup. He runs a lot of 1-ofs. He really needs to double check and make sure the counter energy based attackers that he really needs are going to be in his deck for this matchup. So I'm probably thinking Sudowoodo and maybe the Reshiram, like I mentioned. So here, just kind of as I expected, going for the 2 Zoruas seems, pretty good if you are going to go for the Bridget here. So I did not get a good look at Shaun's hand, but assuming he has a supporter or a Zoroark GX ready to go for next turn, I think he'll be in an okay spot. But here's just going to play Puzzle of Time. So maybe he actually doesn't have a supporter. And here it looks like he has a Zoroark GX, Double Colorless Energy, and a Guzma. So he gets to rearrange them and put them back in any order. Okay. So it looks like he is just opting to pass after that. And Chris looks like he's going to get A Zoroark GX has an Evo Soda to get probably another Zoroark, or maybe even a Golisopod could be good here as well, but I don't know, I think he might just go for Zoroark here, but okay, he is going to favor the Golisopod, so if he is doing that, that might tell me maybe he has a supporter ready to go in hand. I'd have to imagine if he didn't have a draw supporter, he'd probably go for the Zoroark GX here, just to ensure that he can actually effectively, draw through his deck and get what he needs here. Okay, so he has the Lele, so we're probably just going to see maybe a Cynthia here. That seems like a safe guess, or if you play Sycamore, that could be an option as well. Okay, but it looks like Chris is favoring the Cynthia here, so I think that's fine. Like I said, if he had a way to get a draw support, I think going for the Golisopod here is probably okay. And I'd imagine Chris probably plays a 4-4 Zoroark GX line in his deck, so he has all sorts of outs to getting more Zoroarks in play as well. So here, let's see what he's going to get out of his 6 cards from Cynthia. So seeing an Enhanced Hammer in hand, that could definitely be a good card in this matchup. He probably wants to save that, but here he's going to trade away a Field Blower. That seems like a good card to get rid of right now. And here he has double Color Synergy, so he can just take a knockout on this Mimikyu on the bench. And so Shaun is going to go for a Zoroark GX here with that Evo Soda he has. And I believe he put a double Colorless Energy at the top of his deck, so he will be able to attach that double Colorless Energy and do some damage of his own. But he really needs some more Pokemon in play, just because that Parallel City is kind of limiting his damage output. Normally he would like to fill up his bench to 5, that way he can hit for 120. But right now he really, I think, needs... Okay, but here he's going to trade away a Guzma. And here, just another Puzzle of Time. Not really what he wants to see. He actually has the Baby Zoroark. That actually could be a decent attacker here. And here it looks like he is going to play another Puzzle of Time. Normally, Shaun wants to save those. That way he can, use the second effect of Puzzle of Time to get 2 cards out of his discard pile back. So it's unfortunate. He hasn't had the best of luck so far. He's been having to burn those just to kind of stay in the game. So not the best start from Shaun, unfortunately. Here, Chris is going to trade away a Bridget, which is a great card to get rid of at this point, and he hits 2 Puzzles of Time, so he's probably going to take a peek through his discard pile, see if there's anything he wants to get back. I'd imagine we could see an Enhanced Hammer here. That could be potentially a good play, and then he can double puzzle to get back maybe Enhanced Hammer, and maybe an Evo Soda to get out a second Zoroark GX. I think that is a potential option. But here, he's just going to do his own Riot at Speeding, so he's going to hit Shaun for, I believe it's 130. So I have to see how Shaun is going to respond here. So he can trade away one of the cards in his hand, but he really needs both of them, unfortunately. Oh, so he has a Bridge. I actually did not see that. I thought he had an Acerola. So that's actually pretty good, I guess. But I don't know, I think you almost might just want to trade that away, but if Shaun wasn't happy with the top 3 cards of his deck, playing Bridget could be better, because that could actually change the order of the top cards of his deck, since he has to shuffle after playing Bridget. And here it looks like he is getting that Sudowoodo down on the bench, kind of in preparation of Chris taking a knockout on this Zoroark GX here. So we'll have to see how Chris is going to respond to that. And here Shaun's actually going to trade away his double Colorless Energy. I'm sure he does not like to see that. And here Shaun draws a Guzma. Definitely not another card he wants to see. And so just going to pass over to Chris. So unfortunately, Shaun is just not having the best setup this game at all. And Chris is getting his second Zoroark GX in play. So now that he has 2, he can really start burning through his deck at a pretty good pace. So he has a Zoro, he's going to trade that away as well, drawing into another Enhanced Hammer. So if Shaun does get any more energy down, chances are it's going to be wiped from the field pretty quickly. Hey, and Shaun top decks an N, which is definitely what he wants to see here. It's that supporter card. Both players shuffle their hands into their deck and draw equal amount of prize cards they have left. So, it's normally pretty good, but since Chris has the 2 Zoroark GXs in play, he's actually kind of in an okay spot. Even though his hand size is getting put down to a much lower number, he can just keep drawing cards thanks to trade. So I'm sure Shaun wants to see a counter energy that could be good here to do some damage with that Sudowoodo. But unfortunately, I don't even know if he's going to have a way to take a knockout, because he'll do Riot at Speeding. Well, if he gets 4 Pokemon in play, That'll be 80 times 2. Okay, yeah, so if he gets an extra Pokemon in play, he does have the counter energy in hand, so he will be able to take a knockout with Watch and Learn. So Watch and Learn, if you guys aren't familiar with it, the attack cost is a fighting and colorless, and you get to copy the attack your opponent used last turn. So that's pretty good. And now that he has the counter energy, he can take a knockout on this Zoroark GX as well. I'm not sure how I feel about getting the Reshiram down. I almost feel like getting a Zoroark, or I'm sorry, another Zorua would have been good. That way he can, you know, get another Zoroark in play and, you know, keep digging through his deck with trade. I think that's going to be a very important thing here. But at least he was able to take a knockout and kind of get back in this game. I saw he also had a Sycamore in hand, so he has, you know, he's starting to stabilize a little bit here. So this is actually pretty big as well, because ending Chris down to the low hand size and taking away one of his Zoroarks is pretty big. But here Chris has the double Puzzle of Times. That's going to be pretty big here as well. So he can go for a double Colorless Energy to get back, you know, one of those to take a knockout on this Sudowoodo, and looks like another Zorua. I like that. That way you can start setting up another Zoroark GX. He knows how important that trade ability is going to be to ensure that he can always dig through his deck and draw into the cards that he needs. And here Chris is going to play his own end, so putting Shaun down at a 4-card hand, and that's actually going to be a little bit worse for Shaun because he does not have his own Zoroark GX to potentially draw out of this 4-card hand if he doesn't have a lot to work with. So let's see how both players are going to draw off at this end here. Okay, we see a, looks like an Ultra Ball in Chris's hand, so he can get out another Zoroark GX next turn. Here he's going to take a knockout. Getting rid of that Sudowoodo, definitely a big threat. And here it looks like Shaun's thinking about promoting this Reshiram here. Alrighty, and let's see what he's going to opt to do here. Looks like he's going to get down the Choice Band on Leeway. I think that's fine. That way you can maybe trade effective 2-hit knockouts with the Zoroark GX at some point. And here he has this Reshiram active. He has a Rainbow Energy he could attach, but unfortunately if he does that, Zoroark GX will actually be able to take a 1-hit knockout on it, so I don't think he can even afford to really do that. Okay, so here's going to get down the Cobalion. I think that's pretty fine though. Reshiram's actually a pretty good wall, has 130 hit points, it actually has a pretty good attack as well called Outrage. Just for a DCE, does 20 plus, I believe it's 10 more for every damage counter on Reshiram. So if Chris is unable to take a 1-hit knockout on this Reshiram, it is going to be able to swing back for a decent amount of damage here. And Cobalion also could be a pretty good card as well if it goes unchecked. Has an attack called Revenge Blast for 2 metal energies. It does 30 plus 30 more for every prize card your opponent has taken. So Chris is ahead in this matchup, and Cobalion will be able to put in some work. You know, if Chris does get a little too far ahead, and it looks like Chris is opting to play a Leeway to grab Guzma, so maybe he's thinking about taking out that Cobalion. I think that's going to be the big threat he's eyeing down right now. Also, the Baby Zoroark could be a decent potential target as well, but I think Cobalion is probably a little bit more threatening at this point. So here he is going to opt to, I'm assuming he is targeting down that Cobalion. Okay, but no, he's going to go for the Baby Zoroark. I think that's okay as well. Cobalion seems a little bit scary, but here, looks like, well, actually, no, it wouldn't have even been, yeah, I don't think it mattered too much, because even if Cobalion took a knockout, Crystal had a Zoroark GX with a DCE on the bench. I did forget about that fact. So Shaun kind of saw, you know what, man, I can't really come back from that. Let's just go into game 2. This is a best 2 out of 3 series, so you know Shaun still does have 2 games to kind of make a comeback here. Just a really unfortunate start for him. You know, Chris just, his deck was firing on all cylinders. He had like the first turn Bridget, didn't even have to Leeway for it. Had the first turn Parallel, opened with his, you know, ideal starter in the deck. You know, drawing Puzzles of Time when he needed them. Just, you know, deck just kind of working probably how he imagined it to work. So I'm sure Chris is ecstatic about the way that deck ran for him in that game. So Shaun, you know, he does have the option of going first in this second game, which I'm sure he is going to want to take. So without being Parallel on the first turn, I'm sure he's going to be able to have a bit of a better setup this game. So let's see how this one's going to unfold for him. Okay, I think I see a Wimpod in Chris's hand. That is a pretty good starter as well. Has that Wimp Out ability. On your first turn, you can retreat for free. So looks like he's thinking about benching, or I'm sorry, starting with something else. Looks like he's opting to start with the Zorua. I think that's interesting. I kind of would like to see the Wimpod instead. just because it has free retreat on your first turn. So not really sure if I like that from Chris, but maybe he has something else in mind. And so it looks like Shaun is going to Ultra Ball. He's getting rid of, it looks like, a Mew EX and a Rescue Stretcher. Mew, pretty much a worthless card in this matchup. But he's going to go for a Tapu Lele to grab Bridget. That way he can start getting set up. So I'd imagine we'll see at least one more Zorua. Okay, so getting 2 Zorua. And, okay, just going all in on all of his Zoroarks. You know, he saw, you know, how important having trade access to that ability on Zoroark GX is going to be here. You know, if he can just start drawing through his deck, he's going to be in a good spot, basically. And here, just a pass from Shaun. So I think he had a decent little opening here. And so it looks like Chris is opting to, I think he's playing an Ultra Ball of his own, going for a Lele to grab Bridget, getting Tapu Koko, Zorua, and another Zorua. Okay. That seems alright to me. So both players pretty much want to ensure at all times they have 2 Zoruas or access to 2 Zoroark GX at any given moment. Because when you have one, just drawing the one card every turn or using the one trade every turn can be a little bit underwhelming. But you know, when you can use trade twice in conjunction with a supporter, you know, I think that's the bare minimum of what you want. And here you can see that from Shaun too. He's opting to just load up on his Zoruas here. So let's see what he is going to do here. I'm pretty sure he has a Cynthia. I could not see what else he had in hand beyond that. I believe a Puzzle of Time. He probably doesn't want to play that, I would imagine. Okay, he's going to do double Puzzle of Time, okay? Going for an Ultra Ball. That way he can get Zoroark GX in play. You know, typically you want to save your Puzzles of Time for, I think, some of your techier cards, like your Acerolas, or maybe your Enhanced Hammers, or, you know, the cards you play low counts of. So here, I'm not sure if I like that or not. I think that might be, he might be a little overly conservative with getting a maybe overly cautious with getting a Zoroark GX in play. You know, he has the Cynthia, so I'm pretty sure if you're playing 4 Zoroark GX in your deck in conjunction with things like Evo Soda, because I think Shaun plays Evo Soda as well, I could be mistaken, I think you have decent odds of drawing into one off the Cynthia anyway, so I would have maybe preferred to see those Puzzles of Time get saved for later in the game, but here Shaun's going to discard that Shaman to draw 2 cards, but you know what? Could have been wrong. Maybe this was the right play. I don't see a Zoroark in Shaun's hand. If he can find a Floatstone, he's going to be in a good spot as well, but I'm not sure if he found the Floatstone. He has the double Color Synergy, I'm pretty sure, but no Floatstone to retreat this Mimikyu. But here it looks like he's opting to put the... He's thinking about putting double Color Synergy on Zorua. I'm not sure if I like that play. Maybe he's just trying to spread his resources out, because if Chris does opt to take out this Zorua, that means he's not taking out a Zoroark GX, or not attacking into a Zoroark GX. So I'm guessing that's kind of Shaun's rationale, or maybe he's even trying to bait Chris into taking a knockout. That way he can go for like a Sudowoodo counter energy play. I think that could be an option as well. So let's see you know, how this turn is going to unfold for Chris. And I believe Chris is playing his own Cynthia, so he was not able to play something like a Guzma anyway, so hopefully putting the DCE there doesn't backfire on Shaun. You know, at least it was safe. Here Chris is going to trade away 2 cards, getting another Zoroark GX in play, drawing another 2 cards, and here he has an Enhanced Hammer. So the attachment didn't even wind up really mattering that much in this situation anyways. And here it looks like you know, Shaun's going to promote this Zorua. Kind of interesting. Maybe he's thinking about going for a Guzma play. So we'll have to see how this is going to go here. He has another Zoroark GX in hand, it looks like, so he can get that out. Oh no, I'm sorry, that is a Tapu Lele, actually, my mistake. But here Shaun is going to go for an Ultra Ball. So let's see what he's going to get rid of. I think he has another Ultra Ball in hand. So I think that seems like a safe target to get rid of. Can't really tell what the other cards are. I think I see a Choice Band, see a Field Blower for sure. Just going to get rid of the... Well, he's double second guessing himself getting rid of the choice band, so he's going to opt to get rid of the field blower instead. I think it's okay. There's not really any tools you want to get rid of right now, but he knows that Chris does play Perilous City, so he does want to be mindful of how many field blowers he has access to, because that is definitely going to be a card that he wants to remove from play at some point. But here it looks like Shaun is going to get his second Zoroark GX into play, and he does have a Tapu Lele in hand as well. So we'll have to see. He does have a Guzma. I'd imagine if he had DCE, he would probably want to Guzma up the Wimpod and maybe take that out, I would assume. Or maybe even the Zorua on the bench. I think that would be a decent target as well. So he's shuffling up, so that tells me he's probably thinking about trading before he... Okay, but here he's going to go for the Lele, so probably didn't need to shuffle up there if he's just going to go back in deck, but not a big deal. So, okay, so it looks like Shaun is favoring going for a Mallow here, so let's see what he's going to go for. I'd imagine we might see something like an Enhanced Hammer and a double color synergy. I think that would be good, or also maybe a Parallel City could be good. I believe Shaun plays Parallel City, if I'm not mistaken. He has shown me his list before, but I do forget the specific card counts in it. So I think either of those options are going to be fine. Like I said, definitely the double color synergy. That way he can attack with Riotous Beating and put some damage on the field. But beyond that, he probably wants some sort of other disruption card as well. Here's going to trade away Choice Band and grabbing those two cards he just played Mallow for. Oh, okay, so going for another Zoroark GX. Interesting. So that is pretty good. He's definitely going to be able to draw through his deck at a pretty good pace at this point. And here he's going to get down the double color synergy and probably just do a Riotous Beating for 120, softening up this Zoroark GX. So let's see how Chris is going to be able to respond. I actually believe he has an Acerola in hand, which actually is pretty big here. That could be a way he kind of turns the tide and shifts the prize trade back in his favor. Looks like Chris is going to get rid of an N and a Field Blower of his own. Going for a Golisopod, definitely a decent move on his part, I think. So let's see what all he is going to do here. So we could see an Acerola picking up the damaged Zoroark GX and then attacking with the Golisopod to do 120 with First Impression. That seems like a decent way to go. So here Chris is going to get his third Zoroark GX in play. Here he's going to trade away a Choice Band and trading away an N as well. I think that is going to be Chris's last trade. And here he's going to play that Acerola kind of as expected. And here he's going to opt to promote the Golisopod. I think that's probably good. He wants to save his Zoroarks. He knows those are kind of the backbone of his deck as far as how he draws into cards. So he wants to keep those safe, I would imagine here. And just to opt to attack with the Golisopod. And so here we're probably going to see an Armor Press actually. So Armor Press, I believe that's the attack he's doing here. So okay, so maybe my mistake. He is just going to do a First Impression. So First Impression, 30 plus 90 more if Golisopod was on your bench and became your active Pokemon that turn. So let's see. See, Shaun does have a Puzzle of Time in his hand. I see a Sudowoodo as well. Beyond that, I can't really get a good look at what he has to work with here. So he's going to trade away another Zoroark GX, trading away a Bridget as well. So Shaun is starting to dig through his deck a little bit. But yet again, like I said, I can't get a good look at all the resources he has to work with, so I'm not really sure what route he's going to want to go here. So it looks like he's thinking about getting the Baby Zoroark in play, and he does have a double colorless energy as well. I think that's a potential route he could go here. That would definitely soften up this Golisopod. Okay, but here it looks like he's going to play a Guzma, targeting down this Zorua. But here it looks like, I'm not sure how much I like this play actually, because it looks like he used stand-in with the Baby Zoroark and then played the Guzma. I think he had a double color energy in his hand. If that was the case, I think I would have preferred just to see a Guzma and promoting a fresh Zoroark that was not in any danger of being knocked out. So I think I would have liked that a little bit more. I don't mind him knocking out the Zorua. I think that's fine, especially since Chris had the Zoroark GX in his hand. Shaun saw him ace roll it up last turn, so I think that's kind of a decent play. But I just don't like the fact that he went with the damage Zoroark here. Just not a big fan of that. But you know what? Maybe I saw what was in his hand incorrectly. You know, it can kind of be hard to see from this perspective, but I thought he had a double colorless energy. So let's see. Chris is going to get rid of a Perilous Aid. Definitely not a card he wants to get rid of usually, but you know what? If he did play it, Shaun would just get rid of his 2 Tapu Leles more than likely, so it probably wouldn't be as impactful as it would have been maybe on the first turn, as an example. And here it looks like Chris is going to get down another Zorua, which is definitely good, and then just take a knockout on this Zoroark GX. And here, Shaun's going to trade away another Bridget. Definitely a card he likes to see in the mid-game when he has Zoroark GX. That way he can trade it away. So he's going to get rid of Cobalion. That could also be a decent attacker to potentially save to use at some point. But Shaun does have access to Puzzle of Time. So if he really wants to use it, he can always get it back at some point as well. So here Shaun has the Sudowoodo. He's going to bench that. And here he's going to play an N of his own, so Chris is going to go down to 3 cards in hand, but like I've mentioned before, he does have 2 Zoroarks in play, so N against most decks is really good in the late game, but against Zoroark based decks, it's just not quite as impactful because you have things like trade to dig through your deck a little bit more. So let's see what both players are going to opt to do. You know, Shaun really needs to keep this Sudowoodo safe. That's going to be something that's going to be pretty important here. And here, Chris actually has a Guzma, which is actually pretty big, because if he can take out this Sudowoodo, that is not only going to put him at an even amount of prizes, meaning he only needs to take 1 GX knockout to win at that point, but also Sudowoodo is just a huge threat to basically any deck that plays Zoroark, so he really needs to do something about that. But here, he's just going to play the Acerola. I think it's okay. I think I would have maybe liked to have seen the Guzma here, just because the Sudowoodo is such a big threat. If he could have enhanced hammered the active, I would have liked the Acerola play a little bit more. But overall, it's still not bad. But I don't know. I just think Sudowoodo might be a little bit too scary to just sit on the field, kind of going unchecked. So I think I do see a counter energy in Shaun's hand. So if that is the case, that is pretty good, because he can attach that to Sudowoodo and take a 1-hit knockout with Watch and Learn. So I see a Puzzle of Time. Not sure if he has 2 or not, but if he has 2, I'd imagine that would be pretty good. But here he's going to trade away a Rainbow Energy. And he's going to play Acerola of his own, so that's actually pretty big here. He can save that Zoroark, save the double colorless energy, attach the counter energy. So pretty big turn from Shaun here. Now he can use that Watch and Learn attack, taking a knockout. It's such a situation, like I said last time, where I think would have preferred Chris to take a knockout on the Sudowoodo here, just because it took an easy 2 prizes. But here, you know, still Chris is going to take a knockout on it. He's going to go down to 2 prizes, and after that he basically just needs to Guzma, Crossing Cut GX, a Tapu Lele to win the game at that point, I think. Okay, so here he is eyeing down, looks like a Choice Band. Alright, so let's see what Chris is going to opt to do from here. So I think what he can do is, if he just attacks with Zoroark GX, takes knockout on Sudowoodo, next turn he can maybe play that Lele that he has in hand for Guzma to take his final knockout on a Tapu Lele GX. Or Chris, you know, I think this is also decent if he does decide to go for... Oh, maybe he doesn't have Guzma. If that's the case, that's actually interesting. So I was going to say, if he goes for the Crossing Cut knockout on the Tapu Lele, I think that's fine as well, because he only needs to knock out that Sudowoodo from there to win. But I'm guessing his other Guzma was prized, or maybe he used all of them and didn't realize it, because I'm assuming that is what he was going for, since he did attach the Choice Band. Normally you would want to save something like that for when you're actually going to attack with it, so we'll have to see you know, what's going to happen here. And here he still does have the Zoroark GX, so he can take a knockout on the Sudowoodo. So he still, like I said, just needs the Guzma on Tapu Lele, and he can use Cross and Cut GX to do 180 to knock out Tapu Lele for game. So Shaun does have a Field Blower. He really needs to play that down. Okay, so he's kind of recognizing the threat of Cross and Cut GX, so definitely a good move on his part. And so he has some options. He has double Colorless Energy. What I might like to see actually is attaching the counter energy to maybe Zoroark, the baby one, and attacking with that instead. You know, forcing Chris into the 7 prize game. And, oh, I think Chris has the Guzma. Does he have a Choice Band? That's going to be the other thing he really needs here. So we're going to see a Guzma. Okay, looks like he's eyeing down the Baby Zoroark. I think that's okay as well. And here he's going to take a knockout. And if he can just Guzma one more time, he can pick off this Zorua here. I'm not sure how many he has access to at this point. I'm not sure how many Puzzles of Time he's played either. I think maybe just the 2. So I think he will have access to Double Puzzle to seal up the game at some point as well. So here, Shaun's going to play an Evo Soda, so I'd imagine, yep, we're going to see a second Zoroark GX hit the field. And Shaun does not have a very big deck left at this point, so I'm really not sure what he's looking for. I'd imagine maybe an Enhanced Hammer. That could be really big because he can get that to strip away that DC on Golisopod, because I think he realizes he can, you know, Chris can just take an easy 2 prizes on Lele to win the game. So if he does have an Enhanced Hammer in his deck, which I believe he plays, if I'm not mistaken, I could be completely wrong. I do forget the list that Shaun was playing, but that could be pretty big here. Okay, so we're going to see a trade, getting a Puzzle of Time. I'm not sure what he has to work with, unfortunately. And getting rid of a Counter Energy, that seems like a good card to get rid of at this point. So we see a Tapu Koko. And here, going to go for a Guzma on this damaged Zoroark GX. And it looks like he's debating putting down the Tapu Koko right now. He does have enough damage to already knock it out, so no sense in putting down the Koko. It's an easy Guzma target. So let's see if Chris is able to seal up the game. Like I said, he needs Guzma Choice Band, and he can just pick off Tapu Lele GX with Cross and Cut GX. So let's see if he is able to get all of that. He doesn't have many cards left in deck. He only has 1 trait available to him, so we're probably going to see him try to thin out his deck a little bit with an Ultra Ball here and just increase the odds of drawing into what he needs. So let's see. He does have Enhanced Hammer in deck. I can't tell how many Puzzles of Time he has access to, or if he even has the Choice Band left in deck. It's just hard for me to tell. I do see an Enhanced Hammer. He's going to grab a Wimpod and trade that away, I would imagine. Or he could trade away the Evo Soda. Okay, but he's going to trade away that as well. Okay, and he did have the Choice Band. Okay, so he will be able to take a knockout on the Tapu Lele with Cross and Cut GX and win the second game. So super close second game. Unfortunately, Shaun couldn't quite close that one out. But, you know, he got pretty close there. But Chris is going to, you know, take this series and move on to the finals. But, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this matchup. Like I said, definitely stay tuned for the finals match. And also check out the top 8 match if you have not seen that one as well. But as usual, guys, feel free to like and subscribe. And a big shout out to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, including Shaun Stover, who appeared in this video. So big shout out to Shaun for supporting this channel. If you can support this channel via Patreon or by picking up something from our online store at rarecandytcg.com, it'd be greatly appreciated. But with that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you for the next one.